Spectro Solutions, Volume 1, read by Sebastian Brown. Prologue. The Shadow. For 3 decades, it has cloaked the west coast of America every sunset. Cast by the country-sized tower that inexplicably thrust itself skyward from the depths of the Pacific Ocean in the early 1980s. Hushed stories were told of a team of paranormal investigators that had battled some kind of cosmic deity in New York. Some said that they had stopped Judgment Day from coming to pass. Whatever they had done, it was not enough to halt what came next. The tower was a monstrous and imposing structure, composed of a dark obsidian-like material that almost resembled bones. 8 massive horns adorned the corners of the tower, each one pointing defiantly upwards through the clouds. At its peak, a demonic, skeletal face kept watch like a menacing guardian, its mouth open in a silent scream, revealing jagged fangs and a fiery orange glow. You could see the ungodly face from as far away as the west coast of America or Japan, as if it were watching over the entire world. Despite its ominous appearance, the tower held an inexplicable allure. Curious souls were drawn to it, their dread mingling with fascination. But huge rocky spikes jutted out from the ocean, surrounding the tower, and a massive paranormal storm swirled above them. No one could breach this barrier. The tower's arrival had triggered a global nightmare. Ghosts materialized, grotesque creatures roamed, and misshapen spirits haunted the living. These ethereal beings, once hidden in shadows, now wandered freely, their forms shifting between intangibility and solidity. The world became their playground, and humanity their unwitting playmates. Panic swept the globe. Some resisted, attempting to battle the supernatural forces. Others buried their heads in the sand, clinging to normalcy amidst the chaos. Every night, the world was filled with ghostly apparitions and eerie moans. It seemed like there was no escape from this new, haunting reality. The world's governments scrambled for answers. Despite their desperate attempts to understand the phenomenon, the tower remained an insurmountable enigma. Scientists speculated and religious rites were performed. But still, the tower stood tall and defiant, a beacon for the ghosts that swarmed around it and the demons that raged within. Tales of valiant ghost hunters, demon slayers, and mystical warriors whispered through the decades. They may have won small victories, but the tide never truly receded. The tower had cast a long shadow over mankind, ushering in an era of fear and uncertainty. Beneath the tower's watchful gaze, the planet grappled with a new existence, a world forever changed. What had triggered this terrifying event? Was it a curse, a punishment, or a prelude to the end? The answer remained shrouded in mystery. The only certainty was the ever-present shadow of the tower, a stark reminder of the world's descent into chaos. On a sunny Monday morning in Camden Town, the atmosphere was unusually calm. In a quieter part of the area, the typical sounds of traffic could be heard from distant corners, an integral part of the bustling life of London. At one particular street corner, a man in a grey boiler suit was purchasing a cup of coffee from a stall. He rubbed his tired eyes as he looked at his phone. He was already behind schedule, but he needed the caffeine. Just as he was about to lift his cup to take a sip, he was startled by a peculiar sound. It was a high-pitched, unfamiliar laugh that seemed to be getting closer. The man turned to see a strange, animal-like creature zooming around the corner. It soared at an impressive speed, high above the ground, before disappearing down the next street. He quickly grabbed his coffee and hurried off to work. Chapter 1. The Three Amigos. It was 2010, and in the midst of all this chaos, Alex Vanacek noticed something everyone else had overlooked. Alex's arrival at work was a frenzied blur. He clocked in just in time, swiftly darting into Camden's waste management depot and vanishing out the back like water slipping through a crack. "Afternoon," Jamie's voice echoed from across the garage. Alex shot back a quick "morning" as his eyes scanned the room. Alex and Jamie had been friends since childhood. They grew up in the bustling city of London and shared a common fascination for the supernatural. They were both in their late 30s now, yet they still had the same passion for ghosts and spirits as they did when they were kids. Alex was the serious half of the duo, a man who carried himself with a certain pride in his appearance. His dark hair, though always kept short, bore a deliberate scruffiness, now interwoven with flecks of grey that hinted at his experience. His brown eyes, ever so often, sparkled with a mischievous glint that betrayed the stern facade he presented to the world. Jamie McCabe, on the other hand, was more laid back. Adorned with Celtic tattoos and standing at 5'10" with a stocky build, he often styled his thick, dark blonde hair in a bun or ponytail, complementing his rugged facial features and bushy beard. Born in the historic winds of Edinburgh, Jamie's roots were transplanted to the bustling streets of London during his early childhood. They worked as sewer maintenance engineers for Camden Council, often tasked with finding and fixing leaks and blockages in the underground system, and together they made the perfect team. Neither Alex nor Jamie had ever envisioned themselves knee-deep in sewage. Their childhood dreams weren't filled with visions of grease-caked tools and the ever-present stench of poop. But life, as it often does, had a way of throwing curveballs. "Where's Lindsay?" Alex asked. Jamie stood by a small kitchenette, making 2 cups of coffee. He turned, pointed down, and there they were, a pair of black trainers peeking out from under the old transit van like a scene from The Wizard of Oz. "She's doing safety checks on the van, duh." Lindsay's voice chimed in from beneath the van. "Afternoon, Alex." She rolled out on a mechanic's crawler, her smile as bright as her oil-streaked boiler suit. "I hope one of those is for me," she teased, glancing over at Jamie. "Obviously, this dimlord just got here," said Jamie, gesturing at Alex. Alex raised his cup in mock protest. "It's fine, I've got one," he said, brandishing his styrofoam companion. Lindsay Zalazak was a tall Liverpudlian, around 6 feet, with a lean, athletic build. She maintained the team's equipment and sorted the workload, answering calls and emails from the comfort of the garage. Beneath her wavy auburn hair, her bright green eyes were framed by thick, dark lashes that contrasted with her lightly freckled complexion. Swiftly crossing the garage, Alex settled at a worn table and sat his backpack on top of it. He pulled out his enhanced imaging scanner and popped open its back with a satisfying click. Wires spilled out, and he furrowed his brow as he began disassembling it. "I really wish you wouldn't do that," said Lindsay as she sighed and rolled back under the van, committed as ever to her engineering work. "It's fine," Alex replied, undeterred. He had always been known to tinker with his equipment at work, much to Lindsay's disapproval. "I know what I'm doing." Jamie chuckled. "Is it working?" he asked. "Huh?" Alex grunted as he looked up. "I said, is it working? We're gonna need it today." "Well," said Alex, "it's not working right now, but it will be, soon-ish." Lindsay emerged from beneath the van. "Right, you're good to go, boys," she declared as she walked across the garage and grabbed a work ticket from her desk in the corner. "And Jamie, be more careful going over the bumps, please." Jamie turned red and cracked a cheeky grin. His eyes scanned the green sheet of paper that revealed the day's first grim task. "Calcium deposits in the Hampstead section of the Joseph Bazalgette line," he announced. "Constant overflow. You're on pickaxe duty, bro." Alex winced, his fingers deftly soldering a wire with a windproof lighter. Oh no," he muttered. "That area's gonna be gross. It's like a century old." "Yeah, well," Jamie retorted as he leaned on the pair's work van. "Come on, let's go. We ain't got all day." "One sec," said Alex, puffing on a cigarette as he gnawed at another cable. His mind raced, juggling tasks like a circus performer as he connected just enough cables for the scanner to work. "Come on, Alex," Lindsay urged. "Let's hustle. This isn't your only job today." But Alex was lost in his own world. "One sec," he repeated, twisting two wires together. Minutes ticked by and Jamie's patience wore thin. "Alex," he called as he sat himself in the van. "Seriously, let's go." Alex groaned. He slammed the back of his scanner shut and put out his cigarette. "Fine, I'm coming." He tossed the device into his bag and hopped into the passenger seat. "Bye, boys," called Lindsay, wiping the grease from her hands with a rag as Alex and Jamie drove off. Chapter 2. Sewer Swine. By 8:30 a.m., the city was alive with the hum of traffic and the bright glare of the morning sun. Alex and Jamie navigated through the crowded streets, the work van packed with their gear. They pulled up to the site, and the van's engine hushed as they parked amidst the bustling sounds of the city. Alex grabbed his head torch and clipped on his tool belt. The routine was familiar, and he performed it with the precision of an army sergeant. Jamie leaned against the old transit as he watched the cars passing by. "Think we'll have some ghostly company down there," he joked as the morning light cast a soft glow on his face. Alex chuckled as he secured his head torch. "Ghosts? Down here? I doubt it. They feed on emotions, don't they? They'd starve to death. If that's even possible," he replied, his voice tinged with amusement. "Maybe they like the dark. Or what if there's a ghost of an old sewer engineer?" Jamie mused, pushing off from the van to join Alex at the manhole cover. They shared a laugh as they opened the gateway to the underground. The noise of the city faded away as Alex descended, echoes of water running and the anticipation of the morning's work in the sewers below filling the air.
"Yo, can you hear me?"
Jamie's gruff Scottish accent crackled over the radio. Yeah, I got you, bro," replied Alex. "I'll buzz if I need anything."
"Roger."
As Alex descended deeper into London's Victorian sewers, he found himself in a section that had been slightly modernized. The once dark and foreboding tunnel now had dim lighting that provided visibility in the murky depths, and the walls, encrusted with a thick layer of grime and slime, were adorned with large brass rings to help navigate the tunnel. Pipes and valves lined the walls, each one transporting waste from different parts of the city to the main tunnel. The stench of sewage lingered in the air, a constant reminder of the tunnel's purpose and the daily waste of the city above. Despite efforts to modernize, sewage still flowed through the same channels created over a century ago. Alex stepped onto one of the slim walkways on either side of the shallow canal of sewage. He could feel the slimy walls of the tunnel almost closing in on him like a vice, suffocating and oppressive. As he slowly made his way through the grim tunnels, he suddenly realized that his scanner seemed to be malfunctioning. Strange energy, cryptic blips, readings he couldn't quite explain. Curious, he took a closer look at the device. He could tell that he had messed up its settings while modifying it. Alex banged the scanner against his palm in a desperate attempt to coax some sanity back to it, before waving it around like he was trying to shake a bug off. As he focused and scanned the area in front of him again, he couldn't quite believe what he was seeing on the screen of the device. A huge, neon green pig was floating just a few feet in front of him, staring at him with its glowing red eyes. Alex froze in shock as he realized the pig was invisible. It was a ghost, and for some reason it was only visible on his malfunctioning scanner. The ghost pig was a terrifying sight to behold. Measuring about 5 feet in height and length, it was far larger than any regular pig. An unnatural green luminescence emanated from the creature, its bloated belly churning visibly beneath translucent, slime-coated skin. Putrid green goo oozed from its body, leaving an invisible puddle on the sewage surface. Beady red eyes, glistening with a malice that pierced Alex's soul, locked onto him, filling him with a paralyzing dread. Before he could process what was happening, he watched on the screen as the pig charged towards him. Despite its size, the pig moved with surprising agility, effortlessly defying the laws of physics. He braced himself for impact, but instead, the pig passed right through him, causing him to fall to the ground with a splash. Alex was both relieved and terrified. He couldn't believe what had just happened. As he calmed down, he quickly remembered that he was in the middle of the Hampstead sewers, and he was now sitting shoulder deep in sewage. He shot to his feet, wiping the old toilet paper and poop off as best he could, and checked his scanner again.
Right, I heard that, Alex. I'm coming down.
Jamie's voice buzzed on the radio. It's fine, I just slipped," replied Alex, staring at the device. To his amazement, the pig was still there, snarling at him. It lunged again and passed straight through once more. The ghostly pig hadn't gained enough energy to be able to interact with the human world, so Alex was totally safe, for now. The spirit was still invisible to the naked eye, but it seemed that the modifications he had made to the scanner allowed it to detect the ghost. His mind raced with possibilities as the scanner flickered like a candle in the dim light. It was definitely real, but the discovery was too significant, too raw to share without certainty. He couldn't risk the panic or half-baked theories that might ensue. Not yet. Not until he understood the intricacies of what was actually happening. As he steadied his breath, the realization dawned on him. Lindsay would be the one to turn to. After all, she stood as the intellectual cornerstone of their team, adept at unraveling the most intricate of problems. Her mind thrived on logic, and her engineering prowess was unparalleled. Lindsay would know what to do. Although he was soaking wet and covered in sewage, Alex couldn't care less. He was just happy that the pig couldn't hurt him and that he had made such a remarkable discovery. A potentially world-altering revelation. Chapter 3. Art Attack. That evening, Alex headed straight home from work and into his personal office, his kitchen. He was immediately greeted by the usual warm, inviting atmosphere. Aside from a lone cup sitting between a kettle and a sink filled with dishes, the medium-sized space was well organized, with a rectangular pine dining table and 4 cozy chairs taking center stage. There was a comforting hum coming from the boiler on the wall as natural light streamed in from the garden and reflected off the sleek, grey floor. Over the next few days, Alex spent his evenings tinkering in a kitchen cluttered with various tools and components. "Check this out," he said as he sat in a vest holding up his latest creation to his phone. It's a regular 3D printed drain cleaning cable from work, but I've modified it with this circuit board from my scanner, the scanner that let me detect the pig ghost. Lindsay's face, framed within the confines of the video call, lit up with interest on the screen. "That's clever, but you'll need a proper housing for that board. How about a wristband? It'll be more practical." Alex frowned at the tangle of cables. "Yeah, good thinking. What about this, though?" He strained as he held up 2 car batteries, crudely duct-taped together and daisy-chained with thick cables. "I can't exactly strap this to my arm. I'm gonna need bigger batteries, and the transformer I bought isn't working properly either." Lindsay shook her head. "Nah, you'll be fine. Once you connect it all, you can keep the power source in your bag. You only need the board on your wrist, and I can print you a few miniature transformers at work tomorrow." Lindsay leaned in, her mind racing with possibilities. "It's impressive, if it works. But remember, the whole world's been trying to do this for decades." Alex grinned as he sat back in his chair. "I've been watching these internet videos, right? There's already people using these kinds of tools," and Lindsay interrupted, her voice firm yet friendly. "Really? I'll believe it when I see it. Those videos aren't even real. It's all just weirdo clickbait conspiracies. If any of it were true, we'd know about it. It'd be on the news, not random websites on the internet. Friday rolled around, and the phone flickered as Lindsay watched Alex solder a small transformer that she had designed and printed at work. The circuit board, now cable tied to a short piece of black plastic drain pipe, was a compact mass of wires and conductors. With a deep breath, he connected the cable from the homemade battery pack nestled in his rucksack. To the pair's astonishment, the cable sparked to life, pulsing with a steady current. "It's working! It's friggin' working!" Alex exclaimed, his voice a mix of disbelief and excitement. He jumped up and punched the air like he'd just scored a goal. Lindsay clapped her hands. "I knew it! I told you! We just needed a new transformer!" The cable lit up with a ghostly purple light and crackled with yellow electricity. Alex stared at it, and curiosity overcame his caution. He reached out, his fingers inching closer to the pulsating light. "Alex, don't!" Lindsay's voice cut through the video call, but it was too late. Alex's fingertips grazed the cable. A look of surprise flashed across his face, quickly replaced by relief. Luckily, the energy didn't affect him. Instead, it pooled on his hand like water in zero gravity, before quickly dissipating like the steam off a hot cup of tea. "It's okay," he said, a small smile forming. It kind of tingles." Lindsay let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. She rarely wore her emotions on her sleeve, but she couldn't hide her nerves. "Oh, you're lucky. The tingling is good though. It could mean it's working like we theorized and not just lighting up." Alex nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. "This is it, Lindsay. We're really onto something. I'm taking this out to test it." With that, he disappeared from Lindsay's view and began rummaging around for his trainers. "Alex, please," Lindsay interrupted. "You don't have to rush. This is brand new tech. Let me come over. We'll test it all properly, write everything down, and film it. Next week, though, I need to clear my schedule." Alex's head popped back into view of Lindsay's phone. His impatience was palpable. Whatever Lindsay said, he was going to test the rope tonight. "All right, fine. Next week. But I'm telling you, Lindsay, we're onto something big. Let's chat on Monday." As soon as Alex clicked the end call button, he grabbed his trainers and quickly dragged on his jacket. Lindsay may have been smart, but Alex knew what he was doing. He had to test this new creation. And so, without thinking, he ventured out into the haunted night. That concludes Volume 1 of Spectro Solutions. Our journey with Alex, Jamie, and Lindsay has just begun, and the stakes are only going to get higher. New challenges and dangers await them in Volume 2. Will they prevail? Find out when Volume 2 of Spectro Solutions is released. Until then, thank you for listening.